Have you ever wondered why your mind just feels completely empty, like there's a fog? Or have you ever wondered why you can't remember your childhood? Or why a lot of people share memories and they say, oh, from my childhood, I remember this or I remember that event. And you sit there thinking, wow, I really don't remember much of anything. Or have you ever sat there thinking that you know that there's a history or you know that there's something in your childhood, and particularly if that something is detrimental or bad or negative, and you struggle to find it, or maybe you reluctantly try to look for it. This is what I struggle with. Growing up, I was sexually abused. I was physically abused, emotionally and mentally abused. And I was even spiritually abused, if that makes any sense. And that in turn helped to cultivate what would be a very negative adolescence and a very unproductive and negative young adulthood, and even onto my I guess middle adulthood, or and so there's a lot of things that I have gone through, a lot of things that I have done, and part of the reason why I decided to get into the field of psychology is I wanted to better understand why I made the decisions I did and why I chose the path that I did. And another reason I did that is I wanted to find out how I could help other individuals who were stuck in the same situation that I found myself in. And I mean, there's no right, wrong answer. There's no one way to go about this. It's very difficult to try and process all this information on your own, which is why I've been in therapy since, I want to say, 2013. And I've been trying to just kind of cut through and navigate myself through all of this mess. And what I found is there are ways that we can process this information, but not all of it is productive. And I mean, I have been married, divorced. I have 3 kids that don't live with me. They live with their mother in a different province. I've been an alcoholic, a gambler, addicted to pornography, addicted to online gaming. I mean, there's just all kinds of things that I have done. Drinking, and even drinking to the point where I black out and I commit things that I would never do in a sober state, and getting into trouble that way, and just not really making great or even positive, not making good decisions at all. And I found that a lot of that responsibility, well, 100% of the responsibility lies with me, of course. And I'm not about to downplay my part in these things at all. But one of the things that we need to understand, from when you are abused and traumatized as a child, that has negative consequences into your adulthood. And I'd like to talk about that a little bit more and try to help people understand the reasons for this type of thinking. If not for anything, but to just create an empathetic mind towards individuals who may be struggling with addictions or maybe in and out of the judicial system, because there are reasons for it. And I mean, that's another talk altogether. And I mean, I can talk about the judicial system and how it's failing not just Indigenous people in Canada, but people overall, right? Because the judicial system's answer to everything is to incarcerate. and they think that that is teaching a lesson. I mean, to a certain point, at a certain extent, it does. It does teach a lesson for sure, not to negate that. I mean, but it can't just stop there. I mean, there needs to be other initiatives and even alternatives to incarceration, because the levels of recidivism for whatever crime, they're high. And that's because they haven't addressed the root cause. They've addressed just the symptom. And so that's another talk altogether. But what I wanted to talk about today was just to help individuals understand. Maybe you've gone through the same thing. Maybe you're in and out of the judicial system. Maybe you've committed crimes. Maybe stuff that hasn't even been exposed you have done or are doing. And I just want to help you to understand maybe why you're doing these things, so that you can better shape your outcome or even yourself. Because there's been times when I've sat there when I am committing crimes and when I was doing these types of things, and I would stop and say, you know what, this is not me. I need help. I want help. But recognizing it only goes so far. So yeah, if you'll stick with me, I will go deeper into my childhood. It's a dark place for me to go, but I feel that if I share my story, and if I have the strength to do it, because there's a lot of individuals who don't know my personal story, and the stuff that I say will in fact shock them if they find out, because especially those close to me, because even though I'm not particularly going to name names, if you know me, then you'll know who I'm talking about. And so but yeah, I want to go deeper into this. I want to help individual. I mean, like, and the whole purpose is to help, is to support. I'm not trying to play the blame game or expose anyone or try to negate my responsibility, but I believe by sharing and talking about things, we as men, individuals, as a matter of fact, can help one another. We can learn off of each other's stories. And I think part of the problem that we experience is we don't talk about things enough. We don't discuss things enough. We carry guilt, shame, and remorse, and we harbor it inside, and we don't speak about these things. And they're eating away at us. They're destroying our relationships. They're destroying our families. They're destroying our minds, our emotions. They're destroying us as individuals. And we just think that the stuff that we're doing is just, oh, it's just the way I am. You know, it's just what I do. I mean, I hear that all the time when I speak to clients of mine. You know, they always say, "Oh, it's just all I've known," or it's just how I handle things. And these things are true, but there are better ways. There are alternatives, and the whole purpose of this is to explore that. So, if you'll stick with me, I'm going to get into some depth, get into some. And provide some information as well as to who I am and why I am doing what I am doing. A lot of it leaves me vulnerable, and a lot of it leaves me open for not speculation, but open for somebody to debate me and even somebody to criticize me, and I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and everyone's opinion should be valued, but at the same time, I don't let others' opinions of me validate who I am. I consider their opinions, and if it's derogatory to me as an individual, I just push it aside and I move on. So yeah, with that, that's just a really quick introduction of where I want to go with all of this and the why. I've had a lot of people ask me, well, why are you doing this? Why are you going on here in a sense, and wanting to say the stuff you want to say. And the long and short of it is, I want to help individuals who have gone through or are going through what I've gone through, or they're experiencing. And as you can see, it's not an easy topic. Even when I start to try to talk about it, I revert back to that child. I used to have a very, very bad stutter. I used to stutter all the time. And so you may notice that when I start to speak about things from my childhood, that little man inside of me wants to rise up, and he brings language with him as well. So, but yeah, that's the reason, and that's the whole reason. So stick with me, come with me on this journey. It's not going to be an easy one for me, but I believe it's a valuable one. And I believe that individuals will find value in it. And if nothing, they'll be able to have an empathetic view on others who are struggling as well. So thank you for your time. And like I said, brief introduction. I'm going to go into and I'm going to pursue this a lot more and in more depth. So with that, have a great day. Remember that you are valued and you are loved. Enjoy your day. Miigwech.